Hey guys, and thanks for coming along for another walk with me. This week, me and my longtime friend John have decided to go on down to Wekiwa Springs State Park. Wekiwa Springs, like I said, it is a state park. I guess I already said that. The negative to that is it doesn't open until 8 o'clock. And being that we're here in Florida, that means you got to deal with the heat. But like I said, we're here in Florida. That's just something you get used to. I'm guessing this past Saturday it probably got up into the, I don't know, high 80s, low 90s. Humidity was probably also up in the 90s. So even though it's fall, typical summer day. The good thing about Wekiwa is tons of trails, tons and tons of trails that pretty much are maintenance wise, especially the ones close to the springs, are well kept for, from what I can tell, all year round. John has been there on his mountain bike, and like I said, they're well kept pretty much all year round, I think, just from use. On this day, they were actually having a 5K, and we were catching the tail end of it. You can see the little flags there, and you just saw someone we were getting ready to come up on. Like I said, it was the tail end of it. So just from people using it, the trails are maintained. The farther away from the springs we got, you can see that they're not as well maintained, and that's okay too. The type of terrain that we see, mostly, sand and sugar sand and scrub pines and stuff like that. But then you go through areas like this, there's the scrub pines. You do go through some swamp and wetlands and things like that. As far as wildlife and whatnot, we saw a gopher tortoise or gopher turtle. I'm not sure exactly what the right terminology is. You can tell me what it is down in the comments. We did see a couple of deer. Other than that, and some lizards and some mosquitoes, that's pretty much all we saw. But, I'm sure they have all the critters out there. We definitely saw signs of hogs and saw some cat tracks out there, so I'm sure they have some, panthers and bobcats and whatnot out there. I tell you what, these little maps right here, they need more of these maps out there, because we ended up calling this the lost half, because we had some GPS and map issues that day, and like I said, the farther away from the springs you get, the less maintained the trails are. And you get to one point where the trail just kind of disappears in the swamp, and at that point the map on the downloaded all-terrain thing and the GPS are not matching up. Therefore, we ended up turning around and trying to go back to a trail that was a lot better marked. And then, like I said, it took a while for the GPS and the map to get synced back up with each other. Yes, we did. Right there when John just turned and looked like he was ready to run or fight, I'm not sure which it was, we spooked a deer. And so, yeah, that was kind of funny. But anyways, like I said, we called it the day, or the lost half, because we definitely did more than a half marathon. And I mean, we always knew where we were, but we never knew, or we didn't know for a little while, probably about an hour and a half or so, we didn't know exactly how to get where we were trying to go. We could have always went back the way we came, but we just didn't want to do that. Just we had a compass, but I had never had to use the compass before. But what we found out about my compass is one of us needed to be wearing our glasses in order to use it. Well, neither one of us had brought our glasses with us. So, yeah, like I said, we called it the lost half. But it was a good day. It really was. We got a lot of miles in. Due to the issues I was having with my feet that day, we definitely did not, get a very good pace, and there definitely wasn't a whole lot of intensity. Also had some, this is my first day with one of those plastic, collapsible flask kind of things, as opposed to a hard plastic water bottle. And the volume in that flask was less than my hard bottle, but I used the same amount of powder mixture in it, and I think that made it too strong, and it upset my stomach enough to where when we got, there was twice it had happened. At about mile 9, I felt like I was going to puke everything up, so we definitely had to slow it down, take a few breaks, that kind of stuff, and the feeling went away. Still never got back to 100%, but it went away. And then about mile 10, I ran out of the water, so I had plenty of mixed drink, but even the other container that had, my normal combination of mix, I think just because the flavor reminded me of the strong mix, it just wasn't great for me to drink. And so I had to go the last, 4 or 5 miles with just mix. I don't know, it was just, then when we got back to the truck, yeah, it all came out. But anyways, see here, we ran out of trail, and we were like, oh, we can cut across here. No, we couldn't cut across there. And again, the GPS and the trail, they weren't talking to each other, man. They weren't being friendly with each other. So the GPS said, go this way. So we went that way, just like the GPS said, because the GPS isn't going to lie to us, right? So then we went that way, and what happened? We ran into a locked gate. Normally, when you're going down a trail, you hit a gate, there's a little cutout or something goes around it. Not here. So, no bueno. So we turned around, went down the only trail we haven't been down, because we didn't want to go back the way that we came. We wanted to finish the trail, regardless of how my feet felt. So, another U-turn, went back down the only trail we hadn't been down. The one disappeared, the one ran into the gate, and the other one was the way that we came. So this is the way we went, and crossed a little bridge there, went down the trail, even though, again, the GPS and the map were not syncing with each other, were not matching up. So here we go. Again, nice looking trails, nice shaded canopy, no problemo. But yeah, still the GPS and the map, they're just not agreeing with each other, not talking with each other, not syncing up. But it's all right. And then eventually got a nice shaded part, turns into a unshaded, not really any canopy. Like I said, I call it scrub pine. I don't know what it's really called, and I don't even know why I call it scrub pine. It's just what I call it. And eventually, this even turns into what all of us Floridians are used to when we're out in the woods, is sugar sand. And if you've ever been out in this sugar sand kind of stuff, you know that, man, when it hits that sugar sand, it blasts that sun and that heat back up another 100 degrees at you. So thankfully here the GPS and the map seemed kind of close to each other, so it seemed like we should take the right fork, so that's what we did. So yeah, like I said, the sun and the heat were coming back up at us another 100 degrees. So it must have been about 200 plus degrees walking down these sugar sand 2-track trails here. So yeah, we were taking this, and what a pain in the butt walking down that sugar sand trail. So anytime we saw these game trails off to the side here, we would take them. And at one point, we even saw what we thought might be a little bit of a shortcut or something. So we took that. And there it is right there. John's even like, all right, maybe that's a shortcut. But then once we get to the end of that, the GPS and the map are really not talking to each other. So again, another wrong turn or right turn. At the end of the day, we figured out that was actually a good thing that we did. But yeah, we ended up backwards and all over the place. And again, we know that we could have gotten back to the truck if we would have backtracked. But we just didn't want to do that. And then, unbeknown to us, the GoPro ended up having issues. And this is pretty much where the recording part ended up stopping. But John ended up taking some pretty cool pictures, which you'll see right here in a minute. Yeah, here they are right here. So, yeah, definitely saw a lot of nature trails. And I always think it's funny that they show you pictures of what to be aware of, but maybe that's for people that have never been in the woods. There's 2 pretty cool guys right there. And yeah, definitely, guys, come on, put more maps out there in the woods. I mean, come on. And again, just all kinds of nice sights out there. Um, just like this. But yeah, and then you never know when you might see a Sasquatch out in the woods. I mean, you just never know, so be prepared. And again, different kinds of ecosystem out there. We saw sugar sand, we saw mud, we saw water, we saw everything. And so you just never know what you might see out there. And there's Mother Nature, big old huge spider web. That sucker must have been 10 or 12 feet wide. I mean, it was huge. And here comes some more wildlife coming. Mr. Gopher, turtle, tortoise, whatever. But John caught up to him, and he took a nice picture. But we know not to touch them. I know those things are endangered, or whatever it is. For some reason, you can't touch them. And this guy right here, man, what a stud. And like he says, live a great story. So hey, thanks for coming on this walk with me, and we'll see you next time.